Everyone, and welcome to Friday afternoon. The sun is shining here. It's a beautiful day. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about evening routine. So why is evening routine important, number one? So for any of you that have had children, you might remember that kids do really well when they get on a schedule. When they miss nap time and when they don't get to bed at the right time, then often they wake up and they're not refreshed and they're pretty grumpy. Well, guess what? We are just little kids. And as we get old, we do much better too when we get ourselves into a sleep time and a sleep regime. So what does this look like for me? So number one, my trigger is sunset. Now, again, living in the north, sunset right now is just after 5 o'clock, and tomorrow is going to be the shortest day of the year. But that is a symbol to me to begin thinking about winding down. Now, typically I don't begin at 6 o'clock, but I typically begin my wind down around 8 o'clock. So, through the years, I've had to remind myself to get off of my phone, to get off of my devices. And I actually now, I've kind of come back again to setting a little timer on my phone. And I put a special little ringer on, and it says evening wind down time. So that's my signal to say, okay, the day is over. We're going to begin to prepare the body for rest and relaxation. That's what nighttime's for. So one of the first things I do is I like to keep my lights dim in the evening. So, I've spoken before about how blue light and this inside lights aren't good for us. This great sunshine that's coming down now at midday is so wonderful for the body. But when the sun goes down, that means our body is meant to go into a bit of a wind down mode. And if we spend a lot of time with bright lights, blue devices, computer screens, this is going to impact our brain, in particular our melatonin, which is the area in the brain, this chemical that's released that helps to kind of trigger our need for sleep at nighttime. So I go into wind down mode. I put the lights dim. I love having candles. I've also got one of those salt lamps. It's pink, so it gives me that evening hue. Also, I have a fireplace in my home, so I really like that because, again, that's natural light. Those kind of yellow, orange, ember colors are very soothing for our eyes. And so I try my best to stay off of my devices at least an hour before bedtime. Now, I must admit, it is winter and it's close to Christmas. So I have been, like many of you, probably watching, Amazon Prime or Netflix, and I'm watching Hallmark movies because they're just fun. I know what to expect. So yes, I've been staying up a little bit later, maybe watching the movies. But then I still get into my wind down. I try to stay off of my device, though. My phone, I really turn that off mostly at 8 o'clock. And what I've done is I put my phone on silent. So most of you are probably aware that you can put your phone on this mode so that it doesn't ring after a certain hour. I used to have that at 9 o'clock, and now I put it down to 8 o'clock. And I figure those most important people in my life, they can call me a few times and then it will go beyond. But I don't want to hear any distractions through the evening and through the night. Okay, so I'm in wind down mode. And one thing I found lately, there is a great app that I was introduced to. It's called Circadian. So if you want a little bit of a reminder of what, a circadian balance can be like for you, download the app. So it asks you your sleep time, your wake time, and then it helps you prepare for, looking at the sunrise in the morning, the sunset at night, and when you should start to dim the devices and everything at your home. So this is kind of what my wind down setup. Okay, so then I go into my self-care, my Nourish the body. Okay, so then it's time for all the cleanup stuff. So just like I spoke about in the mornings, I get up and brush my teeth. So nighttime is really important. Dental care is a super important part of your body. And whether you're going to do that and then also use floss, or you're going to use like a little dental pick, super important. I use a water pick. I was introduced to one by a dentist friend over 4 years ago. And it's so wonderful because it really cleans out the gums. And we know a lot of infection, a lot of the bacteria that we have in our mouth can go to the rest of our body. So really think about what your dental care is going to look like at nighttime. And then, of course, paying attention to the face, right? So where focus goes, energy flows. So I've got my own kind of cleansing regime at night. I've got my skin serum that I put on that has a lot of vitamin A. I've got also especially living in the north when it's super dry, a really good moisturizer that I use at nighttime as well. And then nourishing my body, it is the time for my supplements before bed. So the key supplement that I take at night is magnesium. So I take a mix of magnesium citrate or magnesium glycinate before I go to bed. And also that's when I take my progesterone. So progesterone is a female hormone. One of the great side effects is that it makes you a little bit sleepy. So that's when I take it, is at nighttime. So I've kind of done my self-care and I've begun to nourish my body. Then it's time to head up to bed. So how do I set the scene in my bedroom? So number one, I like it really dark. For me, I get rid of any light. I've got room darkening blinds. I don't have a night lamp. I don't have any clocks or anything that's showing any light, because we know even little bits of light can impact our ability to sleep. So then I make sure my room is cool as well. Again, I sleep in the upstairs, and in Canada, that's not hard to get cool because it's just this time of year it's getting really cool. But I've got a big comfy down duvet. And so, because it's always good to go into a bed that's slightly cool. And also your body actually can begin to go through this as it gets warmed up and then it cools down. It actually can trigger this need for sleep. Now, sometimes I do take a bath or a shower before bed, but for me, I've found that I need to do this at least an hour or so before bed. Sometimes this can be very stimulating for my body if I do it right beforehand. So about an hour before would be a time that I like to wind down. And if I'm doing a bath, I always put in tons of Epsom salts because it really helps and soothing for the body. So I've got the room ready, and then I like to get things out with my journal. So I'm not every night that I'm journaling, but when I get in a routine and this is flowing really well, so I've got my journal by my bed. Now, some people will think of, there's different ways to do a journal at night. So some will begin with a gratitude journal, and this is what I started with several years ago. And I would simply write down 3 things at night that I was really thankful for. And then I began reading the work of Don Miguel Ruiz, and he has what's known as the 4 principles. And so then I started journaling on these 4 principles, and I'll share these principles with you. So these are like universal truths. And so one of them is be impeccable with your words. The second, don't take things personally. The third, don't make assumptions. And the fourth, always do my best. So in the evenings, I have my little journal by my bedside. By the way, my journal says you are awesome. So it's always good to have a little bit of motivation at night. But I write in my journal these 4 points, and then I think about, how did I do today? Was I impeccable with my words? Words are powerful. You know, words can uplift or words can deplete. And I really pay attention to what's going on with my words through the day. And then the other is, don't take things personally. Because often what other people have to say has more to do with them than it has to do with you. Don't make assumptions. And you know, we could all live by this rule, life could be so much better. Because when we make assumptions, then we're not really getting to the heart of the problem. So this is one that's really meant a lot to me. And then the last one is to always do my best. So I think about during the day, did I do my best in that situation? And so this little nighttime journaling for me helps me to focus. It helps me to review the day and think of what are things that I might want to do differently tomorrow. And another short one that I've done before, instead of these 4 points or the gratitude journal, is sometimes I'll just ask myself, what went well today? So even if I don't feel like writing, I'll be laying in bed at night. So what went well? What are some good things that I have to be thankful for? And maybe what are some things that I could improve tomorrow? I don't like to use the words what was bad or what was negative, because everything in life is all about growth and improvement. So we really have to think about the language that we use for ourselves. And in particular at night, it's super important just before we're going off to sleep, because we want to pay attention again to those words as we're going to dive into this kind of the world of the subconscious as we go to sleep at nighttime. So then I'm getting ready, and I do have my phone at my bedside, and I usually will put on a meditation at night before I go to sleep. I like to use sometimes a meditation on YouTube or on Insight Timer, or on the app called Calm. There's a great bedtime story, and so sometimes I'll like to listen to that at nighttime. So then there's a few other things that I've been toying with at night. So one of them that I used to do before, and I'll bring this up, so it might be something that you may want to try, is mouth taping. So the breath is essential to life, but the way that we breathe in the day can impact the way we breathe at night. And many people are mouth breathers. And in particular, if you're a mouth breather at night, number one, you can start to snore. So that might not be comfortable for the people that are in the bed with you. But also, snoring is not good for your health. It can lead to problems with fatigue. It can lead to problems with weight, with insulin resistance. So simply by taping your mouth at night can be super beneficial for the way that you sleep. And I've done this before. I just buy a cheap little roll. You guys still there? A cheap little roll of paper tape. I put it over my mouth from top, just from here down, and I wear that at nighttime. If you want to read a little bit more about mouth taping, check out James Nestor. He's written a lot about mouth taping and many others, but he's a great one. And then the other thing that I've started doing a little bit is actually no EMFs at nighttime. So there are many people that have multiple sensitivities. And we often wonder in this world where we're connected to internet all the time, in our house we've got the Wi-Fi signal on. And many years ago, I learned from one of my patients who had a lot of migraine headaches. She had chronic fatigue syndrome. But she also said to me that what she started doing was avoiding having her cell phone in her bedroom at night. So since then, I've looked at the research. I've done a lot of reading with some of the top functional medicine doctors, and we see that many people can be sensitive to electromagnetic frequencies. So if you're having difficulty sleeping at night, if you're not waking up refreshed, so number one is not taking your phone to the bedroom. So what I've started doing is I turn my phone on airplane mode. And then I even got to turning my router off at nighttime. So at least that signal is not within my house. Now, this may not be easy for everyone to do, but it's something for you to consider to maybe add to your nighttime routine. So this is it for me. And then the last is I do try to have a somewhat consistent sleep time. So I'd like to be in my bed by 9:30. So usually I'm falling asleep by 10 o'clock. And that again is helping to add to this whole circadian balance, this day and nighttime routine. So again, as we approach the Christmas season, I know that many times we can get off schedule. So if you can think of one of those things that you do at night that can help you to keep into your nighttime routine, it can help you as you go through the busyness of this holiday season. So please, I'd love to hear what you do for a nighttime routine. Please just share down below. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend as you get ready for Christmas next week. Take care. Bye for now.